All the methods coming right now. So, salt cod, Baccala. You can see, beautiful, beautiful codfish. This has no bones in it. Right here, there's a little, I'm just gonna clean it up a little bit. There's a little piece of fiber over here. Just gonna clean that off. But otherwise, this can go right into the cooking liquid. Okay, there's a nice big piece here. I'm just checking for bones. I don't want to deal with that later. Boom, boom, boom. Like that. See, this is all good stuff. Okay, so this water's garbage. So here we are. I'm gonna cut this into pieces like this, and we're gonna cook it for 20 minutes, approximately 20 minutes, in water with some toasted garlic cloves. I'm actually gonna char some garlic cloves. We're gonna do that next. So we're gonna cook it in water with charred garlic cloves for about 20 minutes. Then we're gonna pull it out, okay, and we're gonna puree it with fresh cream, okay, and we're gonna make Baccala monticato. Monticato means mounted with fat, mounted with cream, okay? You can monticato with cheese, you can monticato with cream, okay? The term means to basically whisk in, to, mount. So we're gonna cut into pieces, pretty even sized pieces. Bang, boom, zing. Okay. So we're gonna take some whole cloves of garlic and we're gonna head over here into the pan. Let's take a look over here now. We start off, this is my charred garlic method, which is also on YouTube in a couple of different ways, okay? Basically what we're doing is we're gonna char whole cloves of garlic. So what we're doing is we're getting a pot, smoking, 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 smoking hot. Like hotter than you think it should be. So as soon as the oil goes in and the garlic goes in, it immediately starts to fry and turn brown, okay? And then we're gonna add in water into that, and then we're gonna add the cod into that, and then we're gonna boil it for 20 minutes until it's literally falling apart. And then we're gonna whisk that with cream. That's monticato, okay? We're gonna put cream in, we're gonna make Baccala alla monticato. And you can serve that with polenta and many other ways. I'm showing you this. The accompaniments is up to you. You can feel the heat from this pan. You can feel it. You can tell when it's getting super, super hot. So here we go. We're gonna throw in the oil. It should smoke immediately, just like that. I'm gonna add in the cloves, just like that. Boom. So you can see. I like to tilt it like that so it's submerged, so the garlic's submerged. It's my charred garlic method. I've showed you guys this for a lot of different things, for certain tomato sauces. Okay, we're gonna take it almost to the point of being black. Now watch out, because this is gonna blow up. Okay, you ready? Put it on the stove. Put in the codfish. Now we're gonna boil this for about 20 minutes till it's falling apart. So while the Baccala is cooking, okay, part of the thing that you're supposed to be doing is skimming off the scum. Okay, the scum that comes to the top. Skim it off, clean it up. It's the whole point of this. It's the whole point of boiling it also is purifying it. It's been salted. Okay, this is old school method of preserving fish. Preserving codfish for the winter or for whenever, or just have it in the cupboard. Okay, it's the whole point of this. All right, bam, boom, sing. That's it. So I'm just gonna throw a little bit of potato into the codfish, right in the pan. It's been cooking for about 10-15 minutes. I know these little tiny pieces of potato are gonna cook very quickly, and it's gonna help with the texture. People in Venice would say this is sacrilege. You should not do this, okay? I don't care. I like the texture of it, okay? People in Venice have been eating Baccala their entire lives, okay? People that don't, this is a good way to get people into Baccalas by adding a little bit of potato to it. So I'm gonna throw potato right in. So we're in the last few minutes here. I put the potatoes in. Now it's time for the bay leaves. And you want a lot of bay leaf flavor in here. So I'm putting like 6 in here. Okay, fresh bay leaves. So here we're ready to go. Little strainer. Gonna kill the heat first. Okay. Now we have tons of garlic flavor in here. Bay leaf flavor, extra virgin olive oil. Oh my God, the smell of the bay leaves is insane. Roast, the charred garlic, so important to this. You know, you gotta char it. It's not traditional, and you Italians out there are gonna break my fucking balls. I don't care, okay? I make it better than you. Boom, here it is. You see? Right in the mixer. The potatoes too, the garlic, everything. We're gonna use some of this water as well. Just a little bit of it. We're gonna, you know, whatever comes with it, basically. The potatoes add a certain silky richness to this. I think it's totally worth it. Okay, you don't have to put the potatoes. If you wanna be a purist, I am a purist most of the time, but here, I think it just needs it. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna whip it up a little bit. Whoops. Okay, we're gonna put it on 2, whip it up. You see? Now we're gonna start adding in some cream. Grass-fed, okay, local raw cream. This cream will make anything that calls for cream 1,000 times better. You need to get to the source of your dairy. You need to stop using pasteurized dairy and start using raw dairy. Don't be afraid. Here we go. Let's taste it. Oh my God. Oh, incredible. I'm gonna add a little bit of butter into this as well, a little grass-fed butter. There we go. And just a touch of white pepper. Let's take a look. Beautiful. Baccala monticato. Now, how do you serve this? You serve it over polenta is one of the best ways to do it. You serve it over grilled polenta. You can serve it on toast, on crostino. That's my favorite way to do it. So just toast some country bread, some pugliese bread's really good. Making sure it's really hard, like make like crouton, put it in the oven and make it really hard, okay? Or you can even cook it in a pan in olive oil, okay? Or you can do it on a grill, but make sure you soak it in olive oil first and then grill it. And just put this right on top, just like that. Boom. Absolutely amazing. Let's get a little plate. Let's get a fork. I can just eat it like this, man. I mean, this is incredible. The salt is perfect because it's already salted. We put a little bit of white pepper, which is amazing. And you can also put a little ribbon of olive oil as well, a little ribbon of extra virgin. Amazing. Baccala monticato. Natural slime on fish. You know it's fresh. You look at the fish, you look at the fat, you see the vibrancy of it, you know? When fish is dull, that means it's been washed, okay? It's been washed again and again. Fillets, they get washed again and again. You go to supermarkets and buy fish. The worst place to buy fish is in a supermarket. They just keep washing it again and again to wash off the stink. Look at the slime on the fish. That's how you know it's fresh, okay? We're gonna do the seared salmon method. Actually, this is just the seared fish method. You can do this with any fish. Scallops, codfish, halibut, salmon, tuna. It doesn't make a difference. High heat searing, okay? You don't worry about it sticking, okay? Because when the crust forms, the item will release from the pan. We want it to stick when it first hits the pan. Don't worry that it's sticking, because when the crust forms, it will release, Okay, so that's the idea. So we start off, I have a kosher sea salt here. 100% sea salt, it's kosher and it's the perfect texture for this. And gotta break up some of these lumps over here, but we're gonna get a nice coating on there, just like that. And we're gonna also get some white pepper, okay? You can use white or black pepper, both work very well with salmon. Okay? You want it to be a little bit on the coarser side because you're making a nice crust. I'm gonna flip it and do the same thing on the other side. Nice crust. You have to consider how thick the salmon is when you decide how much salt and how much pepper to put. Okay, and you want to kind of push it in a little bit. Don't be afraid to like push it in to make the crust. And don't be afraid to also pick the fillet up and make sure that all the sides and everything on the fish has a nice coating on it. This is a salmon steak, which means it's going to have a bone only down the middle over here. And it might have a little bone in here. Not a big deal, man. Don't be afraid of bones. So the first thing we're going to do is I need to get a pair of tongs. So here we go. We put like a nice layer of extra virgin here. Boom. Just like that. We're pan frying, so we need some fat in the pan. Okay, now I'm going to turn the heat up immediately as soon as it goes in. Why? Because the salmon is cold, okay? The pan was plenty hot, the oil was plenty hot, but the salmon is cold, and when it hits the pan, it's gonna cool down the pan. Now don't touch the fish. There's no reason to touch it. And now you're gonna control the heat. You see, we're a little bit too hot here. I'm gonna lower the heat just a little bit and let the crust form nice and slowly. Okay? Seared fish method. Again, any fish, doesn't matter what it is. Now, the most important tool for this is the fish spatula. Okay? We use a pair of tongs to get it in, but now when the crust forms, it's still going to be stuck to the pan even when the crust forms. But it just needs to be gently removed from the pan. And just like the crispy egg method, the same concept, the crust forms, the fish spatula underneath the egg releases it from the pan and gives you an incredible crust. Now, if you use a nonstick for this, you'll never get the same crust because the fish never sticks. It needs to stick and then release in order to get the best crust. And we just wait. It's all about patience and restraint. You don't touch anything, you don't do anything. So we're gonna make a very light lemon, butter, and basil sauce with this grass-fed butter and just right over the top of the fish. You can serve this over a bed of arugula, you can serve it with asparagus, with broccoli, or any other vegetable that you like. Okay? For the 7 fishes, I like to do it over arugula. So the hardest part of this is resisting the urge to touch the fish. Okay? It's sitting here, it's at the perfect temperature, it's searing at the perfect temperature, it's not smoking too much. You can see it's only smoking a little bit, and the smoke is coming from the liquid that is in the fish. The fat is not burning, okay? That's a misconception right now. The smoke that's coming out of here is not smoke, it's steam. It's steam from the fish. And you can even smell it. It smells like fish. It's the liquid that is releasing and helping to form the crust. Again, the liquid and the fat reacting together, like with the calamari that we just did. The fried calamari creates the crust, creates the brown. Plus the sugar that's present in the salmon. Salmon's full of sugar. Creates the crust. Color is sugar. It's caramelized sugar. So anytime you see color on anything, it's because there's sugar in the product that at a high heat, it becomes brown. And that's what you're doing when you make a seared fish method. The crust is caramel. It's fish caramel. And that's what creates such an amazing flavor. And if you keep that in mind, you understand when you're giving color what you're doing. So now look. It was completely stuck to the pan when I first put it in, right? Look, not stuck anymore. Why? Because the crust formed. This is even a little too much oil. I could have put less oil. Okay, I wasn't paying attention. I put a little too much, but too much oil is never a problem. Even if you put a lot less oil, it wouldn't make a difference. As soon as you get the crust, you're good to go. And watch. You see? And always flip it away from you without the oil. And that's exactly what you're looking for. Dark brown. Dark brown. You see that? That's all caramelized sugar. Okay? Boom. Bam, boom, zing. Color is important, and you can feel the temperature just by pressing on it. A smart thing to do even while it's cooking is to baste it. You can baste the skin like that, you see? Because you want to eat the skin's delicious. You can even baste the skin just like that and keep it frying, okay? Once you get good color on one side, you don't need to get as much color on the other side, okay? You can see how I bubbled up that skin. You see how the skin bubbled up? The salmon skin's one of my favorite parts of the salmon. You're crazy. You're crazy not to eat it. Out of your mind crazy. I like my salmon medium, cooked to a perfect medium, which means the inside is translucent. Okay, the inside of the fish is like literally like jelly. But salmon is so amazing, even well done. So if you like a lot of color and you want to color it more, I mean, it's really hard to fuck it up. It always comes out juicy and delicious because it has so much beautiful salmon fat. These belly pieces right here are the best part. You're gonna lose your mind when you're eating these. They're gonna melt in your mouth, and guess what? That's the best fat in the world, man. Fish fat. Besides extra virgin olive oil and grass-fed butter, fish fat is the best fat you can have. Indulge, go for it. Okay, fish fat is exactly what you should be eating at all times. And you can see now I got a pretty good amount of color, and I can see that I'm probably at a perfect medium at this point, okay? So I'm gonna pull it out, just like that. You can see the color on the other side too. You could go further if you want, but you already have quite a bit of color on the other side. There's plenty of flavor there. So I'm just gonna stick this over here. I'm gonna pull the fat out of the pan, okay? But I'm gonna leave just a little bit. Like I said, I put too much oil in here, okay? I'm gonna leave a little bit though for flavor. That's all fish fat too, okay? I'm gonna leave a little bit in there, and now I'm gonna make a nice light butter sauce right in the pan. This is all perfect. I'm gonna pull this off, put it on the plate, just like that. Now I'm gonna drench it in a nice butter sauce here, grass-fed butter. So what's the first thing I'm gonna do? I'm gonna get some grass-fed butter in there, just like that. And you can put capers in here, you can put onions in here, you can put garlic in here. I just want it nice and simple. It's just a simple butter sauce. A little bit of white wine. Burn off the alcohol. Let's put a couple basil leaves in there. You can put any herb you want. Parsley's nice as well. Okay. There's plenty of salt on the salmon, so you don't have to worry about the salt. And that's it. You finish it with a little more cold butter to make a nice sauce. Agitate it. So butter, brown it a little bit, and then off the fire, agitate and melt the butter. You're making a beurre blanc right in the pan is what you're doing. Okay? Just like that. And I'm gonna put a little squirt of lemon. Just like that. Not a lot, a little bit. Boom. Could use a hair more butter, just a hair more. Melt that in like that. Agitate again, making a beurre blanc. You see as the butter melts, very similar to the lemone method, which is also in my YouTube. But you can see, as the butter melts, the sauce gets a little bit thicker and a little more viscose. Perfect. Right over the top. And of course, you want all these leaves of basil as well, right on top. And you use a little rubber spat to get all that sauce. Every single drop. I'll do it this way so you guys can see it. You see, you want all of that sauce, all that butter. See how it's a little bit brown? See, opaque. See, this is like a medium well, like you see. See, it's still very glassy, super tender. Melts in your mouth. Some people like medium rare salmon. No problem, cook it less. Wow. The belly, absolute best part. with the skin. The crispier you make the belly, the better it is, because think of it like you're crisping up the fat, like you're making bacon. You want the bacon crisp. You want to crisp up the fat. It makes it more delicious. Exactly the same thing. Salmon belly is the bacon of the salmon. Oh, God. Wow. Seared fish method with salmon steaks, perfect. So here I have some kosher sea salt, kosher grind, okay, and 2 Branzinos, okay. So what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna add some white wine to the salt and mix it up. And then I'm going to make a bed of salt on the pan to put the fish on. Just like this. Fish is cleaned and gutted, okay? Boom, just like that. Actually, I'm gonna go the other way. No biggie here, I'm just gonna move it over so I can get the whole fish in salt. There we go. So I get salt under it, just like that. And then we're gonna pack the salt on top of it. Completely encased in salt. The salt seals everything in. It creates an incredible consistency on the meat because nothing can escape. Everything gets trapped. All the flavor gets trapped, all the nutrients, all the fat, all gets trapped. And when we bake it, you're gonna see it gets hard, like a cocoon, an encasement. And we crack it open, peel off the skin, and pull out the most incredible, perfectly cooked flesh. Nothing can escape, so it stays very moist as well. It's very hard to overcook this. You would really have to way overcook it, and even then it's still good. Now, the oven temperature can be anywhere from 275 all the way up to 375. If you want to do it a little slower and with a little less risk, you can do it at 275 and take your time with it because you can't really feel the fish to tell when it's done. So you got to kind of use your heart for this. You got to kind of think about it. You got to imagine the heat penetrating the fish, okay? I'm going to do it at 325, exactly. It's going to get very little color this way because 325 is right at the point where sugar caramelizes, okay? And this is a convection oven, which is also going to force the heat in a little quicker. Once again, we're going to smell it. My gut is telling me that this fish is ready. Let's take a look. It was a very small fish. Okay. Might even be a hair over. But you can see, completely crusted. Okay. We're going to bring it over here now. We're going to break it. Bam. So here we go. What do? We break it. Okay. We pull off the salt. You see? Just like that. Okay. Ooh. Now we're going to take off the skin like this, you see? Like that. Nice and gently. See? Wow. Look at how juicy it is. See? It's a very small fish, so it cooks very quickly. The head we're not gonna eat, in this case. Now we're gonna scoop it, basically. Just like this. Now here, this piece here is completely boneless on top. Whoops. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna get the bones off of there, like that. And we're gonna pull these bones off here, like that. And look how juicy that is. I wanna make sure we clean so we don't get too much salt on it, but basically, we're gonna spoon this fillet up, like that. See? Pick it up, right on the plate. Scooping it out. You see how beautiful that is? Look, you see? Whoops. Oh my God, it's perfectly cooked. Oh, wow. And how did I know it was done? I smelt it. I smelt it. I felt it, you know? I just had a feeling. And if you overcook it a little bit, it's not that big of a deal because most of the moisture stays in anyway. You're gonna get used to it. And yeah, you can time it if you want after you get used to it. Sure, why not? You see right here's the backbone. Okay, so we're gonna pull that out like this. Boom. Pull this one out too. Just like that. Boom. So be careful because we got the salt there. Okay. Wow, oh my God. Wow, that's so good. Just like that. You see, they took the backbone out of this. You see all that fish, all that flesh? See? Bada bing, bada boom. Now, this is all garbage. Okay? That's the only thing about a salt-baked fish is you're really only eating the fillet, you're only eating the meat. You know, you're not gonna eat the skin, you're not gonna eat the head, okay? That's, you know, it's not like a normal baked whole fish where you're gonna eat the whole fish. This is all about isolating the fillet and isolating it and creating this incredible texture. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna get a high quality extra virgin olive oil. I have this beautiful oil from Lucca, from my friend Aurelio from Tuscany. And we're gonna anoint. Now I would serve this with some steamed potatoes if you want, or just like it is. I mean, when you're doing the 7 fishes, everything doesn't have to have an accompaniment. In this case, this is enough. This is one of the courses, and this is gonna be the course right before the tuna, okay? The fennel's in the oven, the tomatoes are in the oven. I'm sure that they're ready, so we're gonna roll into the tuna right now. But let's taste it. God. Perfect. With the olive oil, hint of the salt from the salt on the skin. Unbelievable, look. Incredible. Salt-baked Branzino. All right. Seared tuna method. One of our most famous dishes at Frank Restaurant. It's been on as a special since the day we opened, okay? I love this as a 7 fishes because everyone loves tuna. And it's very Italian as well. We do a beautiful fennel and black pepper crust on the tuna when we cook the tuna, and that's really the method here. Now these are the accompaniments that I do with the seared tuna method, which is roasted fennel, roasted plum tomatoes. One of the great things about the roasted plum tomatoes is that it even works well with unripe tomatoes and even green tomatoes. Okay, it's great to roast them like this with herbs. So that's the first thing we're gonna do is the fennel and tomatoes because that takes the longest. Okay, actually the fennel takes the longest. Let's do that first. So we take a bulb of fennel, we clean up the tops like that, save this for a broth, okay? We cut it in half lengthwise this way, and then in half again making sure we leave the core intact. You can see the core right there is intact. Boom, so we get 4 quarters, all right? We're only gonna need 2. What we do is we put it one side down in aluminum foil, okay? Nothing in here, I just want the flavor of the fennel. We make a little pouch, and we put it with that side down right on the sizzle platter. Now why? Because the metal conducts the most heat in the oven, and it's gonna caramelize that side of the fennel. You're gonna see it's gonna be golden brown, which creates this very gorgeous caramelized anise flavor, which goes incredibly with tuna and fennel seeds, of course, and black pepper. So the tomatoes, we cut them in half lengthwise, all right? We lay them on a bed of herbs. What herbs? Whatever herbs you want. Okay, I have sage, bay leaves, parsley here. Okay, I like to put rosemary usually also. I don't have any today. So I would put some rosemary, okay? And we use the herbs, okay, to protect the tomatoes from touching the bottom. And that makes it so the skin of the tomatoes is going to be submerged in extra virgin olive oil, which is going to flavor the olive oil and even color the olive oil a bit along with the herbs. The herbs are going to flavor the olive oil incredibly. So we use it like a bed, just like that, okay? And on top, we're going to hit it with some Sicilian dried oregano, just like that, beautifully. Just a little bit on top. And then we're going to hit it with some fresh cracked black pepper as well on top. Of course, making sure we cover the top of the tomato. The pepper's really nice with this as well. Just like that, boom. And then olive oil, extra virgin olive oil. And you're gonna say, wow, that's a lot of olive oil. Yeah, it is a lot of olive oil. We're gonna use the olive oil with the tuna. Okay, so it's not gonna get wasted. And whatever's left, even if you don't use it all, you can use it to saute things, you can use it for sauces, to cook sofrito in it. But you wanna make sure that it's literally submerged. You can see this, you see? The tomatoes need to be sitting in the oil, okay? So they cook in the oil. And same thing, so now both these items are gonna go into a 375-degree oven until these tomatoes are giving up juice and nice and soft. You'll see the juice coming out of them, okay? And they'll sink down into the oil. That's how you know they're done. How much time is it gonna take? Who knows? It depends on how big the tomatoes are. These are big tomatoes. There are smaller tomatoes. Same thing with the fennel. Sometimes it's a big piece of fennel, sometimes it's a small piece of fennel. We know the fennel's done when we smell the fennel caramel. And you're gonna smell it outside the oven. You're gonna say, holy crap, I smell fennel. Exactly, it's ready. Pull it out, open it up, and you'll see it's gonna be golden brown on one side. So we're gonna get that in the oven, and then we're gonna move over to the tuna. Just to be safe, I'm gonna put this on a sheet pan because oftentimes the oil will spill over the side and land in the oven. We do not want that. So we're gonna let it land in the pan. Okay. And that's it. This goes right in just like that. Forget about it till you smell it. Let's take a look. The tomatoes are perfect. See what we're looking for here? Just soft, just barely cooked. And you see how the oil and the herbs flavors the tomato. Now this oil is gonna be what we're gonna use to cook the tuna in, okay, and serve the tuna with. Look how beautiful it is, right here. And now let's take a look at the fennel. Take a little peek. Okay. What did I say? Look. See the color? Okay? Watch. This is actually stuck a little bit. We're gonna let it cool off, and then it's easily gonna release from the aluminum foil. So I'm just gonna close it up a little bit. Leave it open to cool a little bit, but closed like that. Let it sit and rest, let this sit and rest, and now we're gonna work on the tuna. tuna. So we got a nice big hunk of tuna here. I'm gonna cut it into mignon pieces, okay, which is nice and thick, so we can get a really nice rare on it, okay? So first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take off a little piece on this, just like that. And then I'm gonna cut these like this, boom, nice big mignons. Just like that. So we are ready to go here. We have our tuna mignons. I like to call them mignons because I like them nice and thick like this, okay? Because you can get a nice medium rare on these easily when they're nice and thick, okay? But it doesn't matter. You can have them as regular tuna steaks, half this thickness, and they still come out great with this method, okay? If you want to get a real rare on it, you got to have it nice and thick. But I love tuna medium. I almost prefer it medium, honestly. And we're gonna let these cook to like medium to medium rare because I want to get a good crust on them. And that's what we're gonna talk about right now is the crust, because that's the most important part. Mortar and pestle, black pepper. We're gonna get plenty of black pepper. We're gonna create a nice crust, and wild fennel seeds. Plenty of both. I'm just gonna do all of this. I have some left over, I'll use it again. Okay. So mortar and pestle, we're gonna crush the crap out of this. We're gonna create a rub. We're gonna create a black pepper and wild fennel rub crust. A perfect combination for tuna. Why do we do it in a mortar and pestle? Because we want it freshly ground. Should you use pre-ground pepper and pre-ground fennel? No. You need to get one of these. Get the biggest one you can find. It makes it easier. It makes it easier so it's not shooting out all over the place. The aromas here are blasting out of here. That's because they're fresh ground. Herbs and spices are the best way to go. Keep saying it. Got to start sinking in for you guys. There's never buy ground spices, ever. Buy whole and do them here, fresh, and then use them. The difference is incredible. When you pre-grind spices, the oils get dried out, okay? You lose so much flavor. Wow. Incredible. Good consistency here too. It's gonna go a little bit longer. And that's it. So now we have our tuna, right? Bada bing, bada boom. This is very similar to how we do the brown butter method when we crust the steaks in just black pepper. Okay, but here we're crusting it in black pepper and fennel, which is an amazing combination for tuna. And we're gonna go all around, 360 degrees, the entire piece, every side. When we sear the tuna, we're gonna sear every side. We're gonna sear it here, sear it here, sear it here, sear it here, sear it here. Every side is gonna come in contact with the pan, and every side is gonna have a crust. And that's how you're gonna get this most amazing, that little beep, right? Yep. That's how you're gonna get the most amazing flavor. I'm adding some more here. Beautiful. Oh my God, it smells so good. And don't be afraid because it's so thick. When they're this thick, you can really put a lot on the outside. When they're thinner, you can't put this much. You got to put a little less because there's not as much meat in the center to absorb all that flavor. We're basically there right now. Okay. Next is going to be the salt. But first, we're going to get a pan up on the stove because we don't want to pre-salt these. We don't want the moisture to start coming out of them. So I have a nice kosher salt here, a nice kosher sea salt. I'm going to wait, and we're going to switch over here now to the stove, and we're going to get the pan nice and hot. So the oil that we're going to use is going to be the oil from the roasted tomatoes. First, we're going to get our pan hot, okay? Can't do anything without a hot pan. Can't sear anything without a hot pan. You can't make any moves until the pan's hot. So we're going to put the pan on a medium to low heat, okay, while we prepare, okay? And the first thing we're going to do is, you remember I put this little pan underneath to capture oil. Well, now is when it really comes in handy because I'm just going to pour all this oil right in here, okay? And this is some incredibly flavorful oil. This oil is gold, literal gold. So now we're going to sear the tuna right in this oil. So this is where we're going to sit right over here. Okay, we're checking our pan. It's getting there. It needs to be a little hotter. Okay, and while that's happening, we're going to salt the tuna. We didn't salt it yet. Okay, so we're going to get quite a bit of salt on here. Also, why? Because they're so thick. They're so thick. They're going to need a good amount of salt. Because the inside is not going to have any salt. So we're going to salt all around. I'm going to turn it all the way around. I'm going to press the salt in, create the crust. You see? And now here we go. The oil goes in the pan.
Can you mute that?
We're pan frying these, so we need a decent amount of oil. We need about 1/8 of an inch of oil in the pan. And it needs to be hot before we put them in. But the same idea as the seared fish method that we did the salmon with. It's basically the same method. We're going to put them down and we're going to wait for the crust to form before we do anything. Now I'm going to go down, I'm going to lower it. Okay? All the way down to a lower heat. Now I'm going to let it sear nice and slow and create the crust. Okay? My fennel is still hot. My tomatoes are still hot. My celery is still hot. These are great room temperature even, okay? Hot or room temperature, just not cold. I like it room temperature. I like eating with the tuna room temperature. It's amazing. So it's very easy to pick up. You can roast them, leave them out, sit here. I mean, look at these tomatoes. They're gorgeous. Look at the juice coming out of these. Look. See how perfectly cooked they are? Look when I press. See the juice coming out? That's what you're looking for. Soft, but not too cooked. And again, like we said, caramelized on the fennel. Now I know I have a crust here. I'm going to go ahead and flip them. See? Beautiful. How do I know I have a crust? I can see it from the side. You see it's not sticking. And look at these beautiful flakes. And, you know, we're using the oil we cook these tomatoes in. This is an herb oil with a black pepper and fennel crust. The flavor is profound. This does not need a sauce. That's the great thing about this. It doesn't need a sauce. We're just going to use the oil to drizzle on top of the tuna. You're going to eat it with the fennel, with the tomato, and with the celery root, and you're going to lose your mind at how incredible the combination is. Celery, fennel, tomato, and tuna. Mic drop. So now again, what are we going to do? We're going to keep going. Look, we got a nice crust there. We turn it around. Keep going. Going to crust all over the damn thing. The crust is what it's all about. Same thing. Here we go. We keep going. Crust, flip. Crust, flip. Here we go. Crust, flip. Now you see how it's kind of sucked up quite a bit of the fat. I'm just going to add a little more. Just a little touch more. And one last time for this other side. You see? Now this side here. Then we're going to pull them off. We're going to let them rest here on the cutting board. Fresh ground spices, fresh ground pepper. This whole freaking house reeks because the oil is fresh. If you pre-grind it, it evaporates out the flavor. It's not the same. You gotta grind them fresh. And we're basically, I mean, for a real rare, we're basically done here. You could go longer, but I'm gonna pull these off. I'm gonna let them sit while I make the plates. You see that? The crust, ridiculous. Boom. That's a big piece here. You can do it. You can even do one piece per, per portion here. But we're hungry, and this piece is crying my name. Look at that. I mean, please, don't even get me started. Bada bing, bada boom. I like that's nice. And then we're just gonna put a little bit of smoked sea salt right on that raw part, just like that. And then, of course, this ridiculous oil right on top. Then, I'm gonna grab a couple of parsley leaves, just like this. And by hand, I love raw parsley. We're just gonna introduce some vibrant, fresh parsley. So while we eat it, you get a leaf here, bursts open in your mouth, boom! Parsley leaf. Bang! A piece of fennel. Shazam! A whole piece of black pepper. Wow, anise, tomato, celery. Celery root has this incredible, like, weird celery flavor. It's a softer celery. It's a more sweet celery than regular celery. And the texture, obviously, is completely different because it's a root. We cooked it so it's nice and soft. Oh my God, the textures are really just wonderful here. Goodbye. That's how you finish the 7 Fishes menu. You blow their doors off. They eat this and they all cry. They sit there, they start crying. They're weeping at the table. Everyone's crying. Everyone's looking at each other. Everyone's in love. It's Christmas. It's Christmas Eve. You know, this is right before 12 o'clock mass, you know? Dig in.